love that intro music. I was ready to dance. Welcome, everyone. I'm Donato Cabrera, music director of the California Symphony. And over the last few weeks, you've seen the news that orchestras are reimagining themselves during this time, which is absolutely what is happening. But on the other hand, what we're doing is what we normally do, which is try to reach out to all of you and share this art form. We just can't do it how we normally have been for time immemorial. So we're finding new and innovative ways to still reach you and play this incredible music that we all love and that we know you love. So for the fall, the California Symphony has created not just 2 concerts, which is what we were going to do originally, but we are now doing the Second Saturdays at the California Symphony. So the second Saturday of every month, beginning in September, we'll be presenting online 1-hour concert. It's just like what we normally do, a little shorter, even with a pre-concert chat with our guest artists a half an hour before the concert begins. On top of that, we will be programming and performing with our soloists and members of the California Symphony for most of the concerts, for you to enjoy, to see all those wonderful faces that you love to see at the Lecture Center for the Performing Arts. But you're going to be seeing them in your living room like we've all grown accustomed to. I'm really excited about it. This was put together in haste, but in glorious haste, with excitement that I always have when programming with friends and colleagues. The music that we have to share, what we normally share. Yes, we can't do the symphonies and the concertos with the amount of people that we normally have on stage, but there's so much other glorious music out there that the California Symphony can share with you and that we will be doing this fall. So let's dive right in. Our September concert, September 12th, is with my great friend and the person who is going to be performing with us anyway this fall, the fantastic Adam Golka. Welcome, Adam.
Maestro, hello.
Where are you? Are you in New York still?
I am home. I'm in New York, and I'm 3 hours, ahead of you, but not wiser.
I don't know if that's necessarily true. I see behind you a couple of amazing things. A piano, of course, but also some microphones. Mm-hmm. Lo and behold, we all seem to have this new equipment readily available in all of our living spaces and are growing accustomed to them. I'm sure you have some video equipment as well that you set up for your incredible concerts that you're now taping and making there, yeah?
Yes, the tripods are all gone right now, but the fruits of it will be shared with you in September. So I'm excited about that.
I was so excited that we were able to make this experience happen, because for me, I've always said that the 9 symphonies of Beethoven are his public pronouncements, and the string quartets, and especially his piano sonatas, are like his personal diaries.
Yeah,
and so I often listen to the piano sonatas and quartets, if not more than the symphony, certainly as much when I'm at home. And so the fact that you will be performing 2 of my favorite sonatas, the Waldstein and the Opus 109, the Sonata number 30, I can't wait to hear these performances.
Well, I'm honored to record them for you and to share them. They're 2 of my favorite sonatas as well. And I think they represent 2 different sides of Beethoven. The Waldstein may be coming closer to the public side, the symphonic side, and the 109 being really, truly the most introverted side imaginable of Beethoven. And it's one of the most heartfelt pieces of music I think ever written.
You know, I have a question. I can remember the first time I heard them. For me, of course, I am a pianist, but I had never reached the level of being able to perform movements, except for a few movements here and there. That's what my technique allowed. But I certainly remember hearing the first recording that especially at the Waldstein. It was Emil Gilels. I was working at a CD store, and I opened up that Deutsche Grammophon recording with the incredible ice sculpture coming out of the painting.
Friedrich painting on the front.
That's right, absolutely. And hearing those repeated, it's like, first of all, even repeating those notes at that tempo, and with that amount of articulation, I'd never heard anything like that before in my life. And it just seemed, it's one of those pieces to me that I thought was in my bones and DNA already. And then I heard it for the first time in reality. It's like, oh, that was inside of me. That whole sonata was already there.
It's beautiful. With that, yeah. Well, wow. It's really, I mean, those first repeated C major chords in the Waldstein, it's really like the musical depiction of life force, isn't it?
How about for you? Was it? Do you remember? Was it playing them for the first time, learning them for the first time? Was that something that was in the indelible moment, or was it hearing it in some other context, live or on recording?
I think both. I mean, both pieces were very familiar to me by ear well before I opened the score and started studying. And I think, you know, when I first started studying, I mean, naturally, I learned these pieces a long time ago, of course, and I don't remember the process of discovery, but it's intimidating at first always because there's a lot of information. And Beethoven, I think, more so than any other composers, at least up to his time, gives us so many instructions to process. You know exactly where to get louder, exactly where you. I mean, you know how it is with the symphonies. Your task is even harder than mine. There's so many instructions, and I think in a way that's one of the huge challenges of getting back to that visceral experience of hearing and feeling the music is when we study it. There's so much to process and digest, so that our emotion is Beethoven's emotion and our emotion.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you're doing something so wonderful in your current journey of performing and recording of these sonatas. You are also producing these wonderful introductions, these perfect little miniature films where for each sonata you found a different guest to talk about that sonata in some context, in some way. And we'll be seeing these two accompanying films with both of these sonatas on our concert. Tell us about that idea. They're so beautifully done, as you know, as I've told you before.
Thank you, Donato. Well, I'm really pleased to get to share 2 of the 32 films with you. And yeah, it's a process that started with just thinking, you know, the 32 sonatas, like you said, they're Beethoven's personal journal. And in those 32 sonatas, he explores really kind of every theme of life that we, you know, whether we're musical or not, that we experience. I mean, there's the sonatas have romance, they have tragedy, they have comedy, they're philosophical, they're intellectual. And I have always found many connections between the sonatas and other aspects of life. And I just started having a curiosity to play the sonatas for people who might have something new to offer me, a new perspective. Sometimes those are great musicians who know the pieces much better than I do. I've lived with them for more decades. In other cases, people who have never heard the piece before, but they have wisdom in other fields, and I think they can sense something about the music that really helps me. So it's been a kind of a process of discovery and sharing that. It's been enthralling, actually.
Well, I'm really excited that we could share these 2 films that accompany these 2 sonatas, and also, of course, celebrate what all of us are doing this year, which is the 250th anniversary of Beethoven's birth. Hence the title of our concert, Bravo for hashtag Beethoven 250. And so I just thank you for being a partner in this journey.
I'm honored. I'm sad that we don't play the Emperor Concerto together, but
we will.
But I hope so, and I think we can still give Beethoven a great birthday party this year. So
most certainly. Thank you, Adam. See you soon.
Thanks a lot.
Our next soloist and next concert, we'll talk about it here in a second more in depth, as much as 5 minutes will allow. Robin Bollinger joined us last season for an incredible performance of Catherine Balch, who was then our current composer in residence at the California Symphony, with her incredible violin concerto that Katie wrote for Robin. And that journey, that experience that we had during those rehearsals and concerts still remains so fresh in my memory. Robin is just such a joy to work with. She brings this joy to music making and an incredible insight as well, and just such an inspiring artist. And for this concert, we will also have joining us the California Symphony Woodwind Quintet, which will be playing two pieces, one by Paquito de Rivera, his Airs Tropicales, and Claude Oriol, her quintet in C. But to talk about the pieces that Robin will be playing is Robin. Hi, Robin.
Hi. It's so nice to see you.
It's so great to see you too. We didn't talk all that long ago about this program that you're putting together, thankfully for us, which will happen on October 10th, 2020, as the screen says. And we came up with this rather cute title, Virtuoso Vibrations. It's a very California theme that we're doing this fall. So excuse the title, but we're doing the 3 Bs for this concert. Not necessarily the 3 Bs everyone thinks of as Bach, Beethoven, Brahms, but you're performing Bach, Balch, and Bartok. Tell us a little about these 3 pieces you'll be performing.
Well, and I'll just point out that I make the 4th B as Robin Bollinger.
Of course you do.
I'm really excited about this program. I think it represents quite a breadth in classical music and especially in violin repertoire. So we'll start with Bach's E Major Partita. This is his most sparkly, optimistic piece for solo violin, and it's just one of my favorites. You'll all recognize the Preludio, that first movement. Yeah.
I was going to ask Robin, it's one of the pieces, a lot of the sonata repertoire of Bach is some of the first music serious violinists learn, right? And this Preludio is a piece that I've even coached younger violinists on, and I'm not even a violinist, but nevertheless, I'm curious, your journey with it's a lifelong journey with the sonatas and partitas. And I'm just curious what you think about when you revisit something like the Preludio, which is something everyone will probably have heard at one point.
Absolutely. So I first learned this piece when I was 8. So it has, it is quite a personal piece for me, and I think for many violinists who play it. I spent a long time this fall at Dumbarton Oaks Museum in Washington, D.C. I had a residency there and was researching encores. And actually, this Bach Preludio is the most performed encore in violin history. I went through a whole bunch of programs.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it fits everything. And, throughout this pandemic, I've been playing a lot of Bach. And I had kind of steered away from this one because it's so happy. But I have to say, right now, that feels really, really good.
It's about time we start allowing ourselves to be happy again, isn't it?
Exactly. And so it's so nice to be planning performances and to be playing this really forward-looking music that also allows me to look back at all the times that I've played it already. So I'm really looking forward to recording this.
What is it like to have a friend who's also writing music for you?
Oh my gosh, Katie is the best. It's been, I think, really inspiring for both of us to work on these pieces. So I'm going to play two pieces by Katie. The first one is called Apartment Sounds, and the second one is called Riverwalk. So, Katie is one of my very best friends, and we talk all the time. And so throughout this pandemic, it's been so great to be able to bounce ideas and sounds off of each other. So like she'll write me something and I'll record it and send it back. And then she'll write something else and I'll record it and send it back. So it's been such an honor and such an inspiration to get to work on these pieces with her. They're so different. And I think actually they really bridge the gap between the Bach and the Bartok that I'll finish the program with in a really interesting way. Katie's music is also so sparkly and optimistic and textural, but has a little bit more of the crunchiness that we associate with Bartok. So it's been so great to get to play with pieces for her, with her, and I'm so excited to share them with the California Symphony.
I can't wait. Tell us, speaking of the Bartok, this of the solo violin repertoire by the major composers, the Bach and the Izai and other Kodai's solo pieces, the Bartok it's a major work. It's a major piece. It's a rather long piece for a solo instrument, and it's as a lot of Bartok's music it's incredibly dense and crunchy, as he says. It's a great way of describing it. What is it like for you performing? You're going to be performing this. This will be the first time?
I have performed the whole thing, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
I recorded the first movement on my solo album, but I haven't spent as much time with the rest of the sonata. So I'm really excited to get to embrace the whole piece. I mean, each of the four movements is in itself a masterpiece, and that was why I felt okay just doing one movement on my CD. But as a whole, it's such a journey. It's such an arc. It's an incredibly visceral piece. Bartok wrote it at the end of his life, and it just it's such a summary of his training and his sort of beliefs as a composer. All of the things that he prioritized, of that Hungarian rhythm and layering fourths, and I mean it's so systematically created, and yet transcends any kind of technical boundary. So as a performer, to play it, it's completely overwhelming, but it's a great challenge. So I'm really excited about it.
I am too, Robin. And Katie's listening and watching. So hi, Katie. We can't wait to hear your music. Thank you so much, Robin. And we'll be back soon. All right, thanks. In November 14th to be exact, we'll be bringing back another one of our former soloists. Joshua Roman was originally programmed to play this in November, the cello concerto by Mason Bates. But in our changing of the program, we've just recently come up with such a fascinating journey of solo repertoire that he'll be recording for us very soon. And on the program, the California Symphony String Quartet will be performing two incredibly unique pieces for quartet that aren't played all that often, but are so beautiful. Samuel Coleridge Taylor, a fantastic composer from about a century ago, he wrote a string quartet called Fantasy Stücke for string quartet, Opus 5, and we'll be performing three of the five movements from that great piece. And then the American composer Jennifer Higdon created this incredible arrangement of Amazing Grace for string quartet that we are so excited to be hearing from the California Symphony musicians. But to talk about Joshua's pieces that we'll be recording soon, let's welcome Joshua Roman.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's a celebration.
That's right. That's right. I mean, it's always a celebration in my world, but I'm glad to share that.
I'm glad you're as excited as I am just to be in the cello world for this program. You know,
Oh, yeah.
in talking about this program earlier today, what I was so struck by was your desire to always have a narrative, a through line for the programs you create for yourself, for others. And I appreciate that because I do the same thing, of course, for my symphonic concerts. There's so many stories to be told, private and public stories that can be shared with our audience in a profound way. And this concert, these set of pieces you've created, it does that. Tell us a little bit about your ideas behind this concert.
Yes. Well, you know, we're in a time of spending a lot of time alone, and the cello doesn't have the wealth of repertoire dating back as far as the piano does, the keyboard in general, or even the violin. And so when you're trying to think of pieces to put together to create a solo program, you really kind of have Bach from several hundred years ago. And then you have...
And those pieces, as you know better than I do, they weren't played really until the beginning of the 20th century.
That's right. Pablo Casals essentially gave the world premiere of the 6 suites for solo cello by Johann Sebastian Bach, which is just mind-blowing when you think about it. Right. And then not long after that, the amount of repertoire and the interest in the solo cello just explodes. So throughout the 20th century, you have a lot of growth. But I always love looking back at the history of the music that we play and making sure that I don't take it for granted. I love Bach. You know, I think the first things that I fell in love with on the cello were pieces that would be very familiar to anyone who's familiar with the classical music canon. But as a person who grew up playing and living in the 20th and 21st centuries, I want to always be feeling why am I playing it? I know why he wrote it now. I can read, I mean, as much as you can from reading. I know why I love Bach's music, but why still the cello? And I personally find that the cello has, and this is now being explored, such an immense capacity for stylistic variation. The range is very similar to the human voice, and that's something that a lot of us have heard, that the cello is most similar to the human voice. But also the range from below the viola, an octave below the viola, just, you know, kind of barely above the bass, a sixth above the bass is where we start, and we go up where the violin goes. That's an immense range. You can use it percussively, you can use it melodically as a bass. Like, the cello is extremely versatile, and because of that and because of its sound, I think that the emotional resonance, the capacity for emotional resonance, is huge. So I'm trying in this program to explore that capacity and that connection right now, at a time when we spend a lot of time alone, and I spend a lot of time alone with my cello. What variety is there? How much can be said about the multitude of experiences that we're having in this moment? And for that, with the cello, you necessarily start to bounce around. And so it's like 7 or 8 different composers and short pieces that really explore a range of ideas, of emotions, of modes of composition. Is it abstract music that we just feel and have to put our own words to? Is it a story that is a narrative, kind of like the program itself? Or is it kind of in the piece of one of the case of one of the pieces by Caroline Shaw, is this looking at a moment and a feeling, kind of the depth of that, rather than a linear trajectory as time passing? What if you could pause time and feel everything that you would feel in that moment through sound? So there are so many different ways that this is expressed, and I'm trying to have that be a cohesive feeling and journey, that there's a lot going on, but we've got this entry point through this program of the cello.
I think that's such a important note to make, to not only as you program music, but personally, our journeys. It's okay to have all of these feelings now. I think what we've all grappled with is, okay, how do we still connect? How do we still express ourselves? How do we accept that we may need time to ingest what's happening around us right now, and that's okay too. And so I think that representing that to this incredible list of composers in sharing those emotions is really what we are all needing and wanting, and I can't wait to hear this, Josh.
I'm excited too. Music from hundreds of years ago, music from Europe, from America, from people who are living. And I can't wait to share this program and these feelings with all of you, and then hopefully again in person. But
that's a must, and that will happen.
Absolutely. Thank you for putting this together. I'm so grateful as a musician to have this chance to connect.
It's what we must do.
Yes.
All right. Take care.
You too. Thank you.
Finally, during the holidays, there's so much incredible music that through the centuries that we can draw upon to celebrate that incredible time of family, of remembrance. And it was really a gift. It's going to be a gift for all of us to have, alongside our soloists, our California Symphony Brass Quintet, which a brass quintet and holiday music, I mean, they just go hand in hand, and our fantastic members of the California Symphony will be performing music arranged. Many of the arrangements are from our principal tubist, Forrest Byram, so we're very excited about that. But to help us celebrate the season through song are my two friends, Kelly O'Connor and Nicholas Pond.
Hi, Donato.
Hi. Oh, I love it. I see, Nick, you've added some glow. I can see you more.
I'm backlit beautifully. It gives me a halo.
It's perfect.
He's so lucky. He has a great setting. He has a great setting.
It's perfect for the concert that we're about to introduce.
It gives me an angelic glow.
Very much so. Well, we all know your name. So season and song. We, in the last few days and weeks, talking about the repertoire, there's almost an embarrassment of riches, because we have an incredible secular history of celebrating the season. Of course, sacred music. We can draw upon centuries of music, and so I think what we've decided in the end is just say yes to all of it. But I think one of the most important things is that we have made a commitment, the three of us, to showcase music of our friends, some living composers, which I know is so important to all of us. And in our careers, we've celebrated that. We've had a chance to celebrate the music of of the composers of today. And Nick, I was just curious. You when we were last talking, we traveled with you down your stairs to your music library, and you pulled out all this fantastic music, and you have such a wealth of information to share with all of us. Tell us a little bit about some of the pieces maybe you were thinking about playing music by or singing music by Jake Hagee, who's a friend of ours, and of course the collection of songs, and Benjamin Britten, which is an incredible arranger of music as well as a great composer. Just share with us a little bit about this.
Sure. One of the beautiful things about doing holiday stuff is you kind of get a sense of how composers of today and people as, maybe recent yesteryear, like Benjamin Britten, interact with pre-existing material and the, sort of material that's kind of become a part of our musical bones, so to speak. And I always think that that's really fascinating, because it kind of breathes new life into things that we take for granted, like Christmas carols, or folk tunes. And so Jake has some wonderful arrangements of Christmas carols that we're really looking forward to digging into. And also there's some holiday music that's arranged by Benjamin Britten, who is an amazing arranger. He arranged so many folk tunes for his partner, his musical partner and his life partner, the tenor Peter Pears. And they're incredible, because I think you sort of end up looking at these things that we might end up singing to our children or just sort of singing by rote all the time, and you suddenly start to see the story that's really in them. Britten has this amazing arrangement of The Holly and the Ivy, which is a carol I actually have to confess that I normally despise, and the arrangement makes me love it because it sounds like completely new music, and it opens up a whole new world into something that I just never really thought was a very interesting tune.
You know, Nick, we've never actually, I think, talked about this, but you know, you've recorded so much of Britten's music. You sing his music frequently, but like you've just mentioned, there's such an incredible story behind the music, especially that you sing. You sing the music that his life partner Peter Pears sang, the music he wrote for his partner. Does that inform the way you perform and learn his music? Is that always in the back of your mind as well?
I think it was the thing that really drew me to his music in the first place. You know, I think as a gay college student who was studying music, to see, particularly in the mid-90s, to see a sort of romantic gay love story play out so beautifully through art, where there's a happy ending and beautiful things were born of that relationship, it really inspired me to learn more about his music and their relationship and the history behind it all. And it does, I think, inform the way we perform it, at least for me, because it shows that it's not an academic exercise. There's a lot of heart and soul behind that music. And I mean, he's a masterful storyteller, and he's constantly looking for emotional depth. And I think that's the thing that compels me so much about all of his music.
It's so same here. For me, when I listen to his operas and I hear his song cycles, I'm a former horn player, so the Serenade for Tenor Horn and Strings is very close to my heart. And so, you know, that story is very important. Even with something like The Holly and the Ivy, listen to that arrangement. There's that background to it that's so rich and so personal and so immediate. It's so special. Kelly, one of the suggestions that you had was from the Bach's Christmas Oratorio. And I was curious, have you had the chance to sing that in its entirety, or is it something that what's your experience with that incredible piece?
I know. Actually, the most I've done Bach was in college in a choir. Mm-hmm. That was a lot of my initial experience with Bach. And I had been lucky enough to do some of it. I know Nick has done much more than I have done. But when we were thinking of, you know, this program, it was like you were saying, there was kind of a wealth of riches where we could do so many different things. And because of our connections with the modern composers, you know, luckily I was able to reach out to Nico, and he generously offered this piece that he had, which, you know, is during pandemic times where someone's maybe willing to share a piece that, you know, that they already wrote. So we've been lucky to kind of say, well, why don't I sing this beautiful, you can do a beautiful Bach piece, and also do a brand new piece by someone living. So it's like, why don't we just kind of do it all? And I think that's a really, really special thing for us to be able to do as well as the songs that people love and know, and, you know, mean Christmas to so many people. We can incorporate that as well. It doesn't just have to be something that people can't relate to as much, maybe. So it's kind of going to span the whole gamut.
I love in our conversation when we were coming up with the programming that we were all in real time texting and emailing our friends and composers. Hey, you have any pieces for
I know.
And you know, that's, in a way, you think about it, like I think about all these, the Mozart four horn concertos, or the music that Brahms wrote, the songs and the viola sonatas and the clarinet sonatas. Okay, it wasn't as immediate, it wasn't a text message, but that was the same sort of way. You know, what we do, we're a family, and when we can rely on one another, composers, performers, conductors, to come up with music that we want to share. And I think it's so exciting that we have been able to come up with this program that's not just, you know, the classic. It is some of the classic music, holiday music we all know and love. It will be that, but we're also celebrating new music of our friends, Nico Muley, Jake Hagee, these composers who are live and are responding to our text messages within minutes. So thank you.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing. So I can't wait for us to get together and put together this program in a place to be determined, but it will be a beautiful place, nevertheless, to record this and share this on Saturday, December 12th at 7 p.m. So thank you both. This is so exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Donato. Thank you.
Be in touch soon. There you have it. This is our fall season. 4 concerts instead of 2. We want to thank you so much for joining us today. We have incredible season sponsors, the Lesher Foundation and the Hewlett Foundation. We have to thank them for this incredible season. And if there are any questions and I can perhaps answer them now. I can see any posts online. If not, I'm going to sign off. And thank you all for watching, and tune into these exciting concerts. Take care.